Welcome back, everybody out there listening. It's the ninth episode of the Will and Russ Sports Podcast, and I'm Russ, the Prophet.
And I'm Will, known as Wilstradamus, always always on point with my predictions, as you all know.
Yeah, so welcome
Wait,
back,
wait, wait,
everybody.
wait, wait. Hold on, excuse me, sir. Um you laughed at that like it wasn't true.
Well, that still remains to be seen. So, some of them are true, but not all of them. But
Yeah, I mean,
that's all right.
I get the sense that laugh was very kind of a dismissive laugh to my introduction, Russ. But
I mean,
nonetheless, it is what it is. I hear you,
yeah,
man.
it's we a lot of our predictions we don't know yet how they're
Right.
gonna turn
True.
out because a lot of the seasons haven't started. So we'll see though. I mean, we'll see. We'll definitely revisit our predictions and see how well we did, especially for football because you know how difficult that is
Right,
to
right.
do.
That's a
So
fact.
yeah.
That's a fact. Well, what I guess we're gonna do today, man. First and foremost, I saw something today that I believe I sent you, and I had
Yes.
to discuss this, man. I had to. Um,
Okay. So so it was what was it? It was the Warren Sapp
yeah,
discussing Cam Newton.
it was Warren Sapp basically, you know, putting Cam Newton's neck under the guillotine and
Right.
chopping it off. I mean, he just laid into Cam.
Let the audience hear what we're talking about. So this is Warren Sapp on Cam Newton. So the interviewer questions Sapp about why he doesn't think Cam is great. Sapp responds with, "What am I missing something here? Do they talk about Cam Newton in Hall of Fame terms?" Then he goes on to discuss Cam Newton saying he was going to the Super Bowl to do what no other African American quarterback had done. Well, I mean, we all know that Doug Williams has already done that. He's already won the Super Bowl as an African American quarterback and won the Super Bowl MVP in that same game. So, anyway, Sapp then says that Cam did do what no other African American quarterback has done in the Super Bowl, which was losing the game, not sticking his nose in the pile to get the fumble, and pout like a female dog at the post game press conference. And of course, I cleaned it up. He did not say female dog. So there you have it. So yeah, let's get our thoughts on what we just heard.
I tell you what, Russ, you go ahead and go first because I have a lot to say on that.
Okay, all right. Warren Sapp has always been a pretty colorful guy, especially when he was on the NFL Network. He's not afraid to speak his mind, and I mean, he said what he felt about Cam, and I'll just address this part of it, what he was just talking about. Um, I think the whole point of it was on Vlad TV. He was getting interviewed, and I think the whole point of what started what he was saying was Vlad must have said that Cam Newton is a Hall of Famer, or maybe he asked him that. I guess it was something about that,
Yeah.
or that or that he was great. He was a great player, and I guess Warren Sapp doesn't feel that way.
Right.
I think I have to lean towards Warren a little bit, and I like Cam. I respect Cam, but I don't think he's a Hall of Fame quarterback per se as of yet in his career. I mean, he still has more time, but I think he's a very good quarterback, but I don't think he's an all-time great in my opinion. And I know, um, you know, mathematical Manny's gonna come in and with his calculator and tell me how many stats Cam Newton has, but that doesn't do it. And Warren Sapp made some good points about how he performed in the Super Bowl, and not knowing that Doug Williams won the Super Bowl already as a black quarterback is kind of um, funny, but
Right.
whatever, you know. But I mean, I just think that um, I wouldn't put him in the Hall of Fame that as of yet. I mean, he's got more to prove, you know, and he has a chance, you know, because he does have numbers, as and that's what seems to get you in.
Right.
But you know, he's got to play better, you know. And the thing is, when you play the Super Bowl, everybody's watching, and
Right.
that's what they remember. They're not going to remember all the good plays he made in that game. They're only going to remember the fact that he didn't jump on that ball and cover up the fumble and save his team from a turnover. That's what they're going to remember. That's what people remember from that. When you think about Cam Newton Super Bowl, that's the first thing that comes to people's minds. What Warren
Absolutely.
Sapp was just talking about. So that doesn't look good, you know, and I think he still has a chance to become, you know, one of the greats, but it's still yet to be, you know, yet to be proven, just like our predictions.
Right.
So
Okay.
what do you say? What do you say on what we just listened to?
Well, first of all, I got a couple of things. Um, okay. First of all, Warren Sapp needs to get his facts straight, but I do side with Warren Sapp. However, I don't know if you noticed, Rush, but he said he said Doug Williams won the Super Bowl in 1992.
Yeah, it wasn't 92. Yeah.
Right. Right. It wasn't in 1992. Okay. It was in
Right.
1988 to be exact.
Right. Right.
It was 87 season and he won it in 1988.
Right.
So okay, let's get that fact straight. Now,
Against the Broncos. He was right about that part, but he did
yeah,
have
he
the
was
year
right about
wrong.
that. Now, back to what he was saying about Cam.
It was Mark
Russ,
Rippon in 92. But go ahead.
correct. Correct. Exactly. Russ, I agree wholeheartedly with what Warren Sapp said about Cam Newton. I, for one, like you, I'm not a Cam Newton fan. I think Cam Newton is probably the worst example of Cam Newton is like the opposite of Russell Wilson. He's a black quarterback that everybody back in the day would stereotype and say, okay, he's this, a black quarterback is this type of person. You know what I'm saying? And that's what Cam Newton epitomizes to me. He's self-centered.
Wait,
He's
say that
he Cam Newton.
about Cam. You said Cam Newton is what?
Cam Newton is he's the poster boy for what a black quarterback wouldn't want to be. Okay, so Cam
Okay.
Cam is Cam is the opposite of Russell Wilson. You know what I mean?
True that. True that.
Cam Newton Cam Newton, is how can I put this? He number one, all right, he's very self-absorbed. It's all about Cam. It's all about how Cam looks. It's all about cosmetics with Cam. See, Cam is
Yes.
all style with no substance. That's just my personal opinion, Russ.
He represents this generation very well.
He really does. And but you know what? That doesn't you need substance, okay, along with your style to be able to be called an elite quarterback or a winning quarterback. Warren Sapp was spot on with what he said about Cam. I'm not a Cam fan at all, Russ.
Right.
Cam completely lost me during that Super Bowl and after the Super Bowl. You know,
Yeah.
he completely lost me. He look when you when you're doing all the talking and showboating and then all that, playing around and goofing around and all that stuff, you know, pre-game or during the game when you're winning, be humble, okay?
In
In
defeat.
in defeat, right? You know what I mean?
And that's the thing. Like if you're gonna talk trash, fine. But you're right. I mean, when you lose like that, you gotta be. If you dish it like that when you're winning,
You got
then
to be
you got
able
to
to
be
take
able to stand up there and say, "Hey, you know, I messed up. I didn't." You know, you got to be able to take it like that, and then come back harder the next time. And that's what I respect if you do
That's
that.
what true. Exactly. That's what elite quarterback. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? To me, Cam Newton is, he's a very good. He's an athletic specimen, but
Oh
he's
yeah, absolutely.
right, absolutely, but he's not like when I think quarterback, I don't think Cam Newton. You know what I'm saying? I don't
Right.
think, oh my God, 6'5", 250, athletic, can run. strong. I mean, those things don't impress me. I'm not impressed by that kind of thing. You know what I'm impressed by?
Yeah,
Fact,
what you
like
do with it.
right, a Tom Brady or Russell Wilson who can handle themselves, whether it's defeat or whether it's victory. You know what I mean?
Drew Brees.
Drew Brees, they hand. I mean,
Right,
when Russell Wilson lost the Super Bowl to the New England Patriots in that devastating loss, when he threw that interception in the end zone, how did Russell handle it? He wasn't sitting down with a hoodie on top of his head saying, "I don't know, I don't want to talk about it. I'm sorry, I'm ready to go," and get up and leave. No, he
right.
handled it, man, stood there, answered every question, and let it go.
Yes. We were talking about the mindset of somebody this generation and NBA players, and when we're talking
Yeah,
about NBA players, it's the same thing. Very emotional, very emotional driven. Their emotions control them,
right,
and that's a problem. You have to control those emotions.
exactly,
You have to control the emotions. It's not saying you're not going to have those emotions aren't there or maybe in you, but you have to
right,
be able to control them. And that makes a big difference, because
right,
when you're emotionally unstable like that, you're easily defeated.
easily,
So when people try to come at me with these, and I'm not saying like older every older athlete is going to beat the young ones today. I'm not saying that. But
right,
I think from what I know, mentally, those guys are stronger, and to me, that's an advantage. Regardless of what happens if they were able to go against each other, that mental edge is going to make a difference. You
absolutely.
know,
And you think about it, to go back on to what Russ, I mean, to what Warren Sapp was saying, when that fumble occurred, Russ, when he did that, when he sort of, I guess, backed away from trying to recover the football.
right?
Question: what went through your mind about that? What was your thought process on that
I
particular play?
mean, I remember watching it when I remembered it watching the Super Bowl and wanting to see the replay, because I was
Mhm.
like, because I mean, I'm not against Cam at all. I like certain things about him, but then there's things that you know that I don't like as well. But
Right,
I remember watching that, and I remember wanting to see the replay. And when I saw the replay, I was like, yeah, I can't even defend it. You know what I mean?
right,
He he
and back,
he made a business decision, but a bad time to make a business decision, to do a
right,
business decision. You know what I
right,
mean? I
right,
know, like we people talk about Dion used to make business decisions, but I never saw any of that hurt any of Dion's teams in big games or on a
right,
big stage. So like we say, like yeah, Dion didn't want to tackle, he didn't, he made business decisions, but I can't think of one time where people could say, you remember the time
right.
the 49ers were in the playoffs and Dion just chose not to make a tackle, or when the Cowboys was on you know what I mean, or
Yes, exactly.
even the
And here,
Falcons. I don't that, huh?
right. No, here's the thing I was gonna say. Um, it was a time in the game, Russ, that it was a crucial time. The game was still in imbalance. The game was still
Right,
in balance. You know, that game, if it had, let's say, I mean, I know, Carolina was down in that game. They were down. However, it was only down by 6 points. So
right.
let's say Cam recovers the ball, there's still at least a minute or so left on
There's
that clock.
still a chance. Right.
Right.
So it makes you, what it does is it makes you wonder that, uh, you know, was he already mentally checking out at that
Yeah.
point? Like
Correct.
things ain't go, because when you're that emotional, it's like things aren't going well. We're gonna lose. It makes you wonder. I'm not saying that's what he was doing, but it does make you wonder that
Right.
if that's what was going on the field. If he was starting to just mentally check out, like, oh well, and like we said with the NBA players, these guys will just be like, well, we're gonna lose. I'm gonna make sure I get my stats and I look good for the media, when they show it on Sports Center.
Exactly.
So I don't know. I don't know if that's what was going on with him. He was checking out, but that it just didn't look good. It just didn't look good. Not in the Super Bowl.
Right. It didn't look good. And what's worse, during the post game press conference, that was even.
Right.
I
Right.
mean, acting like a petulant child. You're putting,
Right.
you're not answering questions. You're not looking at people. You're not. You got the hoodie over your head. I mean, oh my God, Russ, he lost me right there. I used to, I actually, believe it or not, used to be a Cam supporter. I was, I wanted
Me
him to
too.
succeed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
But
me
when
too. Because
when
he's been a winner on all levels except for the NFL so far.
right,
You know,
right, exactly. So when he did that, man, he just completely lost me, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. I was like, what in the world just happened? And ever since then, bro, I just been like, and then from then on, he started having a lot of inconsistent seasons. You know, um,
right?
I'm just, I actually agree with Warren Sapp on this. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna lie. I completely agree with him. The only thing I disagree with him with was
His
was him saying,
facts,
right, his facts when he said Doug Williams played in the 1992 Super Bowl, which was completely wrong.
right?
But, you know, nonetheless, man, that's my thoughts on that, man. We just had to talk on that for real because
Yeah,
I had to. That's when I saw that today, I was like, wow, man, he gave it to him real good, and I had to say my piece on that, Russ. So,
absolutely.
whenever you're ready to move on to the next segment, buddy, I'm good with
Yes.
it.
All right, all right.
Yeah, we were
We
supposed to
said
be
we are
doing
going to do our what
top five
top
MMA
five
fighters of all time, MMA fighters of all time.
all time. Yeah.
Yeah.
All
So,
right.
you want me to go ahead and start mine off?
Yeah. So yeah, you can go ahead and do your top five.
All right. So, all right. Well, you know, as you know, Russ, I, I'm a sports fan, but I'm not a huge MMA watching type of guy. However,
Right.
I do glance at it, every now and then, and watch the important fights. Um,
Right.
so right off the top, man, I'll start with number one. I'll go with John Bones Jones. Um, the guy's he's long. He's like a tree. He's got the longest reach I've ever seen in the MMA. Um, he's very strong, very lengthy,
He's
very
got
very.
what?
He's very strong and long. You know what I mean? He has long arms, long
Right.
leg, very strong. Uh, he's very crafty too. John Bones Jones to
Yes,
me is
he is.
the greatest MMA fighter I've seen. I haven't been watching
Right.
MMA now for about for about maybe 15, 20 years, but I would say John Bones Jones to me is the best ever. Uh, in that conversation, I will put Anderson Silva. Anderson Silva is
Okay.
similar to, yeah, he's similar to John Bones Jones. He's a little lighter, obviously, but Anderson Silva is a technician, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and he just, they call him Spider for a reason. I mean, he has some of the craziest elastic legs, man. That guy can hit you.
Right.
He can kick you from standing straight up. He can kick you right in your head and knock you out. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So yeah, that he's amazing. The other guy I like too, he's a smaller guy. I don't know what weight class it is. It's called, but Demetrius Johnson, bro. That dude,
Mighty Mouse. Yeah.
yeah, that's what they call him, Mighty Mouse with those ears, those elephant ears. I mean, Demetrius Johnson is an animal, man. To me, he's one of the best like small fighters in MMA history. So he's a true technician, by the way. I mean, when he gets you on that ground, when he gets you in the grappling stage, man, he can tear you up, man, and quickly.
Yeah.
So I'll go with Demetrius Johnson at my third. Fourth one coming in, I'll go with George St. Pierre. George St. Pierre is a Canadian fighter. Uh, he's very strong. He's very similar to what Anderson Silva is, but George St. Pierre is more of a grappler, and man,
Mm-hmm.
he can he's awesome. When he gets you on the ground, it's almost like a automatic submission. So I will go with him at number four, and number five, I'll probably do probably what's his name, Chuck Liddell. Chuck Liddell was, they call him
Yeah.
Psycho. He had some of the hardest hands, man. He wasn't the greatest grappler wrestler, but he could he can punch your lights out. You know what I mean? So that's what I would go with. Liddell, Johnson, uh, 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 Anderson Silver, John Bones Jones, George St. Pierre. How about you? What you got, bro?
Okay. Um, that's funny. That's funny. So you had John Jones,
Mhm.
Anderson Silva,
Right.
um, Demetrius Johnson,
Yes.
George
And
St. Pierre,
yeah, and Chuck
and Chuck
Liddell.
and Chuck Liddell.
Yeah.
Wow. 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 Um,
We actually have similar picks. I got number one. I got John Bones Jones at number one. I got Anderson Silva at two. I got George St. Pierre at or GSP at three, and then I have Chuck Liddell at four, and number five I got Mighty Mouse.
Oh wow. We got the well,
yeah.
basically at the same. It's the same ranking,
Yeah.
same guy.
We same. Yes. Same guys.
Well, I mean, is there a reason why you chose those guys? Probably the same reason why
Yeah.
I chose.
Yeah. I mean, John Jones is amazing. For a long time, Anderson Silva was my number one,
Hmm.
but I think John Jones has surpassed that,
Yeah.
and just slightly,
Right.
and I got Silva at two because the Spider just was. I mean, like just dominance. I mean, John
Yeah.
Jones is dominating, his era, and
Right.
I think Anderson Silva dominated his era. You
Right.
know, GSP or George St. Pierre, he dominated at 170 in
Right.
his era. He was in the same era with Anderson Silva, but Anderson Silva
Yeah.
dominated the whole era.
Right.
So I got George St. Pierre. He dominated at 170 and 155, and I think Chuck Liddell dominated his era.
Yeah. He
When
did.
he was there, yeah, and I just think Mighty Mouse, skill wise, everything you could say about these other guys, he dominated.
Yeah. Yep.
Um, and I think I don't want to be controversial, but I think the guy that beat him, Sahuda, I think Sahuda there needs to be some drug tests going on. And I'm
Yeah.
not saying that because he beat Demetrius Johnson. It's just that he looks like a different guy,
Yeah.
than what I remember Sahuda to be. This guy went from having a average body to cock diesel.
Right.
So I think that's and huge. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right.
And he seems, even his personality is different. He was a little bit more quiet and subdued before. Now he's like raging every time you put the camera on him. So I don't know. But
Yeah.
anyway, that's neither here nor there. But Mighty Mouse, yeah, is number five for me.
Yeah. I mean, man, we're both in agreement on that, bro.
So what else we gonna discuss?
Well,
Got ML,
we were talking about
huh?
forecasting the college basketball, NCAA college basketball a little bit. That's a couple of months away from us now, but
Yeah, yeah. There's still a lot more time to go for that one.
well, I mean, I guess what are the headlines coming out of college basketball? I mean, we already know who the top teams are going to be, pretty much. Um,
Right,
at least in the top five. At least we know two of them, Duke and Kentucky. You know, uh, and North Carolina.
right,
You know what I mean?
right.
So it's uh, I would say I don't think Duke is going to be as good as they were last year.
You know what? It's really hard for me to pick against them, even though I can't stand Duke. But they always recruit well. I got a lot of respect for Coach K. I expect a new recruiting class to come in, even though they just lost Zion and they lost R.J. Barrett and everything. I think there's going to be a new class to add on to this group that's left, and they're still going to be one of the better teams in college basketball.
So
Yeah, you're right, and they always do. But for some reason, man, I don't know. I just don't think. I know they still have ties. Trayvon Jones or Trayvon, yeah, Tyus Jones's brother. But
Yes.
I, I don't see him being that good this year, Russ. I don't think they're going to be as dominant as they were last season. Um,
Nah, maybe not as dominant as last year. No, because that was that was a little
yeah,
special team that they had.
exactly. And North Carolina, they've come. They've got a really good uh class coming in,
I,
so they should be up there.
Carolina's gonna be dangerous. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're gonna be
they should
dangerous.
definitely be up. Right. Now Kentucky, Russ, I meant to ask you this, man. Speaking about Kentucky, what do you think about John Calipari, though? Because you know,
Great coach. I mean, Hall of Fame coach in my book.
okay, but don't you think he should be winning more titles though, with the amount of recruits he gets? You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying. Yeah, you would think that. You would think
Right.
that.
I've always wondered that, like, man, this guy should have at least like three
Yeah,
titles.
sometimes it's yeah.
You know?
I mean, he does keep his teams always competitive and winning. And I know you could probably say, well, it's because of the recruiting that they do. But
Mm.
so I definitely get what you're saying. But I think he's a great coach, though. You think he's a bit overrated?
I do, I do. I'm not gonna lie, I do. I think he's a bit overrated. I think he's an excellent recruiter. Um, now, as far as X and O's and in game situations, I think he's a little bit overrated. I do. I could because I mean I've seen him get out coached a lot of times, a lot. You know,
Yeah,
by coaches that aren't so called, and I'm using air quotes here. So coaches that aren't on his level. You know what I mean? I mean,
right.
I've seen him get out coached several times. So I would put him on the. I tell you what, I put him on the slightly overrated category. I'm not gonna say he's fully like he's completely overrated. He's slightly. He's a good coach. He's a very good coach. I just think that if I think if you gave, let me see, and I'll take a coach out of the Big Ten conference. I know you're probably rolling your eyes right now and probably thinking, "Oh, this guy in his Big Ten conference." I tell you what, if
Which coach out of Big Ten?
I all right, if Bo Ryan was still coaching Wisconsin, but I'm sorry, if Bo Ryan was coaching Kentucky, I think Kentucky would be, I mean, absolute power. They would be as good as Duke is based on the what the recruits they get and who the coach is. I think Bo Ryan is one of the most underrated coaches in college football. Period.
College basketball, you mean?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, college basketball. Yeah, completely. Yeah,
You
that's it.
you never fail to big up the Big Ten.
I mean, I knew that was coming. You know, well, I mean, that's like you and your Cowboys. I mean, every other word that comes out of your mouth is America's team.
Oh, you mean the Cowboys?
Oh, come on, man. Really? No. I'm not saying the Cowboys. I'm saying
No. You said Cowboys and America's team. I understand. I knew exactly.
no,
I'm sure
no,
all of the listeners knew exactly what you meant. So it's
no,
all
no, no.
good.
You know what? They're right. They knew what I meant, and they feel what I feel, which is
I
you
doubt
guys,
that.
you guys are, just you living off, something that happened 80 years ago. But
80, really?
oh, I'm sorry, 60. My bad, 60. Um,
60.
my bad, 60 years ago. But yeah, going back to college basketball, man. Kentucky, Kentucky's gonna be up there. Duke, North Carolina. What
Yes.
is a team? What is the dark horse team that you would include?
What about Virginia? They just won it. They just won it all.
That's true, but will they? I mean, will they be as good as they were last year? That's the
I
question.
don't. That's the question.
That's a
Yeah.
$1 million question. You know, I don't think so. I don't think so, Russ. I don't
Did they
think they.
lose many? Did they? They didn't.
They lose. They lost. The what's the guy who got drafted with their best? I think he was the best player. His name escapes me right now, but
Oh, I know who you're talking about. I can't think of it now off the top of my head. But
yeah,
yeah, I know who you're talking about.
yeah. They lost him. And they lost. I think one or two other guys. But I mean, man, UVA. I think UVA. I'm not gonna say they caught lightning in a bottle because they've been working up. They've been. This
Yeah,
has been brewing for a while.
for
For a couple of years now, so yeah, they've definitely been building to get to this point.
Yeah, yeah, it has. So I'm not going to discredit them, on that level like that. But I mean, they'll be good, Russ. I'm not saying they'll be terrible or nothing like that. They'll be a good team. They'll be a competitive team in the ACC. Um, However, if I were to pick a team that's going to win the ACC outright, I'm picking Duke.
Wait, so you still picking Duke? But you just said that they're not even going to be as good as they were. But you still picking them? Oh, but you still picking them to win the ACC.
Correct,
I
correct.
got you.
They'll win the ACC, but they won't be as good as they were. However, the national championship, the national champion is not coming out of the ACC this year. You know where it's coming out of?
Well, I'm not picking the Big Ten for that one. So, I mean, I feel it's the Big East. If you're going to ask me, it's the Big East.
Big East. You think it's coming out of the Big
Yeah.
East?
Yes.
Who do you think?
I would say probably Villanova if I had to pick a team. Villanova.
Villanova. Good. That's a good one. Good answer. That's a good. However, I do disagree that it's coming out of the Big East. It's coming out of the Big Ten. Um,
I mean, how did I know you were going to be picking the Big Ten? I mean, that was a no brainer.
Michigan State is going to win a national title coming up this year. I'm calling it right now. Before we do any predictions or anything, this is my pre-prediction prediction. Michigan State will win the NCAA college basketball national title in 2020. Count it.
And the prophet has spoken and said it's going to be a Big East team that wins it again.
I beg to differ on that. I mean, the Big East. I mean, you
The
got
Big East
Villanova.
is the Big East is what you think Big Ten is to college football. Is what the Big East is heading towards in college basketball. They're getting
Okay.
back. They're going to get back to their glory. I can't wait to see my Hoyas
Okay.
play this year. Pat Hewen at the helm.
Hmm.
So we'll see. I think Matt McClung is going to step out even more. In fact, they had the whole front court last year were rookies. I mean freshmen.
Right.
So with McClung and I forgot who the guy, the starting point guard. I can't think of his name. I'm bad with names tonight. But yeah, I think that the Big East is. I'm not saying they're better than the ACC or nothing like that, or they can even compete on that level yet. But remember, Villanova did win. Villanova was the top heavy team, for the last few years with the Big East,
Right.
in the new Big East that is. So,
Right.
but I think some of these other teams are starting to they'll start to step up.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
think Villanova's going to make a run back again this year, though. They're going to be a really good team again this year.
I think I tend to agree with you. However, I disagree on who the national champion is going to be. But I do agree with you that the Big East will be very, very in the mix to be in the Final Four. I think the Big East is going to probably put like two teams in the Final Four, namely Syracuse and Villanova.
Yes.
Go with those
Wait,
two.
Syracuse is not in the Big East any longer.
That's right. I'm sorry. You know what?
Syracuse is in the ACC.
See, I forgot about that. Holy cow! Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow. You know what? Then if I were to pick a team coming out of Big East, I'll go with Villanova and Louisville. You know?
Yeah, Louisville's another good one from the Big East.
Yeah. I'll go with Villanova and Louisville. However, they will be defeated by Michigan State. Um, so that just pretty much answers that question. Um, Michigan State will win the national championship in college basketball. Um, Michigan State, they've got a nice recruiting class coming in. They got one of the best coaches in college football's history. Um, their program always succeeds under underdog status. They relish that underdog role. Um, so Michigan State will be there, man. They'll be in the end. They'll cut the nets down and bring the title back to the Big Ten where it belongs. Thank you.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
What I mean, what you don't? I guess you don't think that's going to happen.
No, no, I actually don't. I actually think it's a biased pick.
I think
Well,
it's the
maybe
bias.
I'm biased too by picking the Big East. You know.
I mean, yeah, exactly. That's like the pot calling it the kettle black. So but now there's
Baseball. I think if we were discussing college baseball, you would be picking a Big Ten team in college baseball, or soccer, or gymnastics, or whatever.
well, I tell you what, Big Ten hockey is really really popular.
Oh my goodness!
I mean, the University of Minnesota Golden Gophers are really really they've had the last
they,
2 or 3 NCAA hockey titles. So
they've got a solid hockey program. Got you.
absolutely, you know, I mean, I mean, you got hockey. I mean, you know, um, what else is a really popular sport in the Big Ten?
What?
Swimming. I mean,
Swimming?
The Nebraska Cornhuskers, man, they got a great swimming program. You know, diving and swimming. Also, I mean, Penn State volleyball, Penn State women's volleyball, unbelievable. They're the Big Ten, they're the best in the country out of the Big Ten.
Speaking of Big Ten and Penn State, I'm gonna give a shout out to my man Aaron Brooks. He's at Penn State. He's on the wrestling team. Had a scholarship. I think it's going into his sophomore year.
Oh, okay.
So big shout outs this year for Aaron Brooks and that whole Penn State wrestling team. So there's a
Yeah,
little Big Ten love right there. That's
there you
a
go. See?
I coached that kid when he was I coached him in football actually.
Oh, really?
And yeah,
Nice.
third and fourth grade. So great family, great kid. I wish
I
him the
mean, more
best.
more importantly, a smart kid. I mean, picking a Big Ten school to go to wrestle to. Oh my, yeah, absolutely.
Well, actually, the Big Ten chose him. They wanted him. That's why he got a scholarship. But he had to decide on them and choose Penn State, so he did. And like I said, I wish him the best.
Well,
There
that's what
you
I'm saying.
go.
He ended up choosing, you know, one of the most prominent, universities in the country for wrestling, which is Penn State,
Right.
in the
Yes,
Big.
absolutely. Right.
So
In the Big Ten conference. And you know what's funny though? Growing up, you know what my favorite college football team was?
Penn State.
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah. I
see.
was I was a big Joe Pa fan.
Right.
When
Okay.
when it was still cool to say you was a Joe Pa fan.
Right. That's
Right.
that. Oh my goodness. That's yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to get hate mail for that.
Get into yeah. Exactly. You know. Now, but not seriously. In all seriousness, man. College football this year, it's like any other year. It's gonna be. It's. I love college basketball. I mean, I keep saying college football. Good lord, I love college basketball, man. I can't wait till the NCAA tournament starts because man, you and I both know when the tournament starts, Russ,
Yeah.
man, that's like a 3 week holiday. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
Oh my, 3 week vacation. All you do is get nothing but great games every single week, for 4 days straight. You know what I
Right.
mean? And then you take a break during the weekend and you come back again for another week. Yeah, it's I love it, bro. I love it. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
Love it. So I mean, honestly though, I know I kept saying Big Ten. You know what? I actually mean it. Big Ten will win it this year, but so you're saying somebody from the Big East will win the national title?
I think so.
Okay.
I mean, we're both making biased picks because I'm a Big East to the heart forever. So,
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. Well, I mean,
but I mean, we both pick teams that it's a possibility. It's not like
yeah.
Michigan State isn't a possibility to 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 win it all, and or Villanova isn't.
Right.
So
Right. Um, anybody from the Pac-12, you think, or maybe Pac, the Big 12, because those guys got some
yeah,
pretty solid.
they've got some good teams. Yeah,
Can
it's definitely.
Yeah, Kansas, Iowa State, they've got they got some say in it too now. Kansas, Iowa State, uh, you got Oklahoma State. You know, I mean UCLA in the Pac-12,
Yeah,
Arizona, Arizona State.
yeah, they've
Uh,
got some. They're pretty deep. I mean, they're pretty deep actually.
yeah, yeah. They're just not deep in football, but they are pretty deep.
Nah, not in football, but basketball for sure.
Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see how this thing plays out in the especially first of all in the conference tournaments, and then obviously in the NCAA tournament. Usually teams out of the Big East put like, I mean, I'm sorry. Well, yeah, Big East and ACC. I mean, ACC put like 8 teams in the bracket last year. Which was like unbelievable. Had 8 teams out of the ACC. They had another 6 or 7 out of the Big East. I think they had like 6 or 7 out of the Big Ten. You know, it's going to be interesting, man. Very.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
Yeah. So what are we talking about tomorrow, Russ? You forget, this is the dress rehearsal week for NFL preseason.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah.
So we're gonna have starters playing up into the third quarter now.
So
So
that's what we're going to be talking about Monday. There's our topic.
yeah, let's now we this is you're right. We can actually see now what guys will look like in the preseason, so to speak. You know what I'm
Right,
saying? With longer playing time. So we'll discuss
right.
that. We'll discuss some games and see how some guys look. Also, I want to discuss Baker Mayfield talking about Daniel Jones. I don't know if you heard that fiasco.
Nah, what did he say?
Oh my goodness. He said that, and he has since recanted on his statement. He said uh, he can't believe the Giants took Daniel Jones. He's like, that's insane. Why would they even draft him? That's what he said basically.
Baker needs to just play. I mean, I like Baker,
I do.
but he sometimes he's kind of loose with the tongue.
Shut up. You know. What do you
Sometimes
think? He needs
he's kind of loose with the tongue sometimes.
exactly. Thank you. Like Baker,
And
come on, man.
and
Everybody,
like I said,
everybody like
yeah,
you think you're an excellent quarterback. We think you're changing the culture of the Cleveland Browns, but
right,
just focus on the Cleveland Browns, bro.
right,
Forget
right.
about Daniel Jones. Forget about Colin Cowherd. Just focus on the Browns, okay? And that's it.
Yeah, and I
So
totally disagree with him about Daniel
I
Jones.
do. I
I
do
think
too.
they all were wrong about Daniel Jones.
I do too.
I went and watched that kid's film after the draft. Like I watched his film after the draft. So when everybody was saying, how it was a stupid pick and all this, and then when I watched this film, I was impressed.
Right.
I didn't take what everybody else was saying. I didn't just because he wasn't known. Everything is a name.
Right.
Everybody knew about what's his name Haskins. So they expected you to pick Haskins, but the media is always they're far from right all the time. So
Exactly. I
I
mean,
remember
case.
when they thought Travis Frederick was a stupid pick,
Right.
for the Cowboys, and ended up he's one of the best centers in the league.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I wouldn't go putting too much weight into sometimes what they think because they're
Right.
wrong a lot.
Russ,
They said we should have picked Paxton Lynch that year.
oh my goodness gracious.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the media, man. They don't
And
know.
we got Dak Prescott that year.
Right. Right. I mean, unbelievable. I mean,
Yeah, so
uh,
I mean, come
you're
on.
right about. Well, speaking of Travis Frederick, what school is he from?
Wisconsin. Oh my gosh. I walked right into that one. I walked right into that. But hey, Wisconsin. I mean, they breed
That's true. That's true. No, I just wanted to
shout
know.
out shout outs shout outs to America's team. Being smart to go get him because
Well,
there's a
oh,
lot of
okay.
from
First of all,
Wisconsin.
well, now wait a minute, Russ. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Let's back up. Let's back up here for a second.
I thought that was
First of
switching up
all,
a little bit.
you just told me that the media just basically is boneheaded when they start making these assumptions and predictions and covering these things the wrong way.
Yeah, and I'm not talking about any assumptions or predictions. I'm talking about what is.
Well, I mean, listen. First of all, aren't you the one that told me that the media gave the name America's team to Dallas?
Well, it was a media personality. Yeah,
A
one
media
media
personnel,
personality.
but he
Yeah.
nonetheless he was a part of the media, right?
Yes, he was.
Okay, so I guess you can sort of put him in the same category as who you're talking about with these media guys that's telling people that Daniel Jones
Nah,
is not a good
this
guy.
the
Not the
media
first
today is
person.
is is even different than what the media were back in the days.
I know, but at the end of the day, they still are the media. So
True.
the media doesn't know their ass. They don't know the ass hole from the elbow. You know, I mean, let's face facts here. You know, they're the ones that's the same guys are saying, "Oh yeah, Dallas Cowboys is America's team." Really? But now they're telling you
But
that
it
Travis
was it
Frederick.
was like it was like in commentating. He just said it and it stuck. You know what I mean? It just kind of stuck with people at home, and because they were the only ones on TV. They were on TV so much, so it kind of like became like that. It
Okay,
just became like that. It wasn't like he made a statement like I think they're American. He just kind of said it in broadcasting,
okay.
commentating one of their games, and
Well,
said, made that statement. Not that he probably didn't even think it was gonna stick, like that. I don't think he said it to try to make it stick.
let me ask you this. Let me ask you this. Let me give you a hypothetical. So the New England Patriots are always on TV, right? Always on primetime games and everything, right? Now, if one of the media members, let's say, I don't know, Chris Berman said, "This is America's team. This is the real America's team." So does that make them America's team?
No, because they would have to follow up with all the other things too, not just something somebody says, but you also it's just like we just said, you could talk all the trash you want, but you got to back it up. You know what I mean? So somebody could say that, but the thing is, when that guy said it back in the 70s, the Cowboys backed it up. You know what I mean? They backed it up with everything. Like like nothing has changed. They still lead the NFL in everything. Like stadium, they're always the first to do something, and then everybody else still follows.
Okay,
And
so
and
the trend
that's and not to take anything away from what the Patriots are doing, but they're not America's team though. You know,
so
until you
Dallas,
got a team, you have another team. Like I said, that has
so
a fan base in every football. A huge fan base in every football city. It's
so
kind of hard to see anybody else as America's team.
so the Dallas Cowboys are trendsetters, right?
Absolutely,
Okay,
absolutely,
okay, all right. I'll
absolutely.
we'll leave it at that, and probably pick it up at another at another show. It'll probably end up getting back to this same subject
Oh
again.
yeah, yeah. That's not going to end. But yeah, I mean, I definitely feel that trend setting thing is a big part of the America's team thing too, because that was part of what started it. And the fact that they led the way on um, technology wise at that time, which was television, and now today the internet world. If you go and look at the Cowboys, views and all that stuff, they got the most out of all the teams, including the Patriots.
All right. I hear you. Now, well, all right, I completely agree. Well, just one last thing. All I All I can say that trends don't last long, man. Championship team.
Absolutely,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah. So we'll tackle that on another day on another show.
Oh yeah, and I mean it's gonna. We'll stick around and we'll be around for the time when Thomas Brady, hangs
Oh
up his
yeah,
cleats, and
that's right.
Belichick
Yeah.
starts his 5-year countdown for Hall of Fame, and um, then we'll revisit the Pats.
Okay. We'll revisit America's team. That's fine. All right.
Nobody's even gonna be thinking about them at that time. They're not even. They're gonna be barely Boston's team at that time.
Oh, okay. Well, you mean just like they're not even Dallas Cowboys anymore. They're Arlington, Texas Cowboys.
Whatever,
Right?
man. They run Texas. Let's be serious. Let's be serious.
Oh man, the best team in that state is gonna be Houston. All right, man. Let's call
Now
it. Let's wrap
that's
this thing
probably one
up.
of your worst predictions ever. That's got to be your worst prediction I've ever
Yeah,
heard.
yeah, yeah. Let's wrap it up for tonight. Get back on it on Monday.
uh,
Enjoy the weekend with the kids, man. Tell them I said hi, Russ.
absolutely, absolutely.